Hi all, welcome to my video. I'm super excited to show you my latest design of my guitar. I'm calling it the Karax. So the Karax is a culmination of my many years of guitar playing and guitar teching. So over the years I have owned, played, set up and repaired many high-end guitars, and each of those guitars had many positives and some negatives, or rather things that I wish would have been part of those guitars. And over the years I thought, why not have a guitar, I wish there was a guitar that had all those positive points, but as life would have it, I never came across such a guitar that would have all those positive points that I wanted in a guitar. And so then I decided, why not design and make a guitar and offer a guitar to a serious guitar player, which would incorporate most of those positive points that I thought were important. And the Karax is the culmination of the design. It's designed from ground up with a clean sheet of paper, and everything about this guitar has a reason and a purpose to it. So the most important design consideration for me was the tone of the instrument itself. So that was the most important point. It had to have, the instrument I would design should have great tone. Second is playability, really low action, no dead spots or fret outs, and easy to play, and more importantly an instrument that would facilitate playing tough passes and tough licks and tough riffs, difficult to play musical pieces, to facilitate those difficult pieces to be a little more easier on the hand. So wherein you could, on this guitar, you could execute those tough pieces a little more easier. They would feel a little more easier to play. And that was another consideration, very important consideration after tone. And then after that it was versatility. I wanted an instrument that could kind of do it all, that would help you play anything from jazz to absolute metal songs. Just one guitar that would be versatile enough to sort of help you pull both those gigs off, whether it's in the studio or live. So that was another design consideration. I wanted the guitar to be extremely reliable. So after that, after versatility comes reliability. So there are a lot of things about this guitar that make it extremely reliable. The choice of woods and certain parts that are inside, which I'll explain. And finally, ergonomics. So I wanted the guitar to be extremely balanced, which this is. Extremely balanced instrument. I did not want the guitar to go yo-yo anywhere. If you leave your hands, it had to be balanced. It had to have a certain center of gravity, and I did not want the field of view to change. What I mean by that is, certain guitars, most guitars, if the field of view changes when you sit and play, and then when you stand and play. So they kind of move a little, and your field of view changes, the position of your hand changes. So I do not want that to happen. So with this guitar, whether you sit and play or you stand and play, your field of view or your angle of view and your the angle of your fingers and the hand itself will more or less remain the same. So these were the main design considerations I wanted when I designed the guitar. I think I've kind of pretty much accomplished most of those, if not all. So starting with the headstock, I've gone in with a reverse headstock and a very unique tuning key configurations. First and foremost, the tuning keys themselves are very unique. These are very high ratio 40:1 tuning keys, and as you can see, they do not have anything at the periphery of the headstock. So the periphery of the headstock is very, very, very clean. And the reason for that is I do not, if you were to play on a tight stage and you're moving around, I do not want, I mean, you'll inevitably end up probably hitting the headstock to the vocalist or the mic stand or the hi-hat stand or something else around when you move. And when you do that, if you had those normal keys, those keys would hit something on the stage and you wouldn't realize it, but your tuning would change because the keys would move a little bit. I didn't want that to happen. So these keys, these are locking keys, of course, so you lock them from the top and then you tune them here. So there's nothing at the edges over there to disturb the tuning keys movement. So these, once you tune them, those keys don't move. That is very important. Second thing is the length of each string is very carefully calculated. That's the reason for this layout. The point is, we all tune to the A string. You tune to A440 or whichever pitch it is, but the reference is the A string. The thing with guitars is the E string, the sixth string, tends to kind of dominate all the other strings a lot more than usual. And I wanted the A string to kind of be a little more dominant and balance it out, and also the other strings to balance them out. So the way the layout is if you notice, the A string is the longest, and then comes the D, and then you have the E and the G almost the same. The point is, the longest string will tend to reverberate and resonate a little louder compared to the other strings, and this helps balance the resonance out of all the strings. So that was the thing. The neck itself is made out of wenge. So the whole guitar is made out of 4 woods. Wenge for the neck, ebony for the fingerboard, white ash for the body, and a solid slab of Indian rosewood for the top. Now, wenge is an African wood. It's an extremely hard wood and it's very stable. But along with wenge, I have also added, there's a dual action truss rod, of course, and besides that I have also added 2 cylindrical, long cylindrical truss rods, carbon fiber truss rods. Now, usual carbon fiber truss rods are thin and flat. Problem with thin and flat is, as long as you have if the neck moves this way, fine, those carbon rods will counteract the movement. But if the neck were to move laterally in any other angle, then because they are so thin, they might not be able to kind of balance and stiffen out the neck. With a cylindrical rod, no matter the torsion, no matter what the angle of force, it's always the same, whether it's in this plane or this plane or this plane here. So 2 carbon fiber rods, dual action truss rod, of course, a solid slab of hardwood ebony. Ebony is very hardwood again, and it's not one of the light colored ones or something. This is a proper solid slab of black ebony. I've got a bone nut. This bone nut is black dyed bone nut, so it's through and through black, and this one's from Japan. I've got stainless steel frets, but these are not just any stainless steel frets. These are Jescar stainless steel frets. Jescar make some of the most hardest stainless steel fret wire. They are built to last pretty much a lifetime for a normal player, and if you are you'll have to be an extremely heavy-handed player to wear them out. But even then, it's going to take a very long time to do that. But for a normal player, they'll pretty much last the lifetime of the instrument. Also, these fret wires are tall and narrow. What I mean by that is the fret wire is as tall as a jumbo fret, but it's not as wide as a jumbo fret. It's quite narrow. So where it helps is, if you were to play higher up, let's say after 15th fret, as the distance of the frets keeps getting narrower, with usual jumbo fret wire, it's very difficult to kind of get your fingers in properly and in between. This kind of gives you a little more gap between the fret wires, between the frets, to kind of get a more solid grip with your fingers. Besides that, narrow and tall means the narrower the fret at the top, the less the surface area for the string to make contact with, and which means if the frets are properly filed and crowned, it means better intonation, and that was very important to have good intonation throughout the fingerboard as much as possible. Besides that, another issue that I've always noticed with when it comes to fingerboards is, even with very expensive guitars, is the gap between the first string and the edge of the fingerboard is quite less. So when you're playing fast legato passages or you're playing aggressively, you tend to slip. The first string tends to slip out of the fingerboard. Well, that has been for the most part corrected with this design. So even with aggressive playing, there's a very little chance of the first string slipping out of the fingerboard. And the whole point is that you forget about what the limitations of instrument are, and you focus on creativity and your playing, and you go hard at it. That is the whole point. Now moving on to the heel of the instrument. Of course, this is a contoured heel over here, but these screws that you see here are not wood screws. So with a traditional guitar, you would have wood screws which are then tight, which then secure the neck directly. So they kind of screw into the wood of the neck itself and then pull the neck toward the heel joint or the body. But in this case, I have used machine screws to bolt directly to screw directly into the heel of the neck, and then the machine screws then screw into those stainless steel inserts that are in the neck heel. And what it does is it makes a much more stronger and more firm coupling of the neck joint to the neck to the body, to the heel of the body. So the neck and connects to the body in a more firm and a more stronger manner, which helps in better resonance transfer from the neck to the body. Also, this also avoids an issue called shifting. So shifting is when the neck tends to move this way. In many guitars that happens, and the reason for that is the neck joint is not firm enough. As you keep playing, things get loose over there. The neck joint gets loose, the coupling gets loose, and the neck kind of falls down. When that happens, your first string is almost to the edge of the fingerboard, and your sixth string is kind of even more inside. So basically the whole alignment of the strings from the edges is off. So you need to again loosen it up, realign it and whatnot. So the inserts avoid that issue as well. So better resonance transfer, a much stronger joint, and you tend to avoid what is called a shifting of the neck. Now moving on to the body, white ash and rosewood slab, like I said. Now this is a much thicker body compared to a Strat. This is about 52.5 mm in total thickness at the thickest part, which compared to a Strat is which is about 44 mm. So it's much thicker than a Strat body at the thickest part of things, so part of the body. And white ash, each of these woods bring something to the tone, and that's why I've chosen them. White ash tends to be a heavy wood. This one's not chambered or anything like that. So this is overall a little heavy guitar. It's about as heavy as a Les Paul. But the wood was chosen specifically in this build. For this build, the wood was chosen specifically for something that this brings to the tone. It basically gives you a little bit of an upper mid snap. And rosewood, of course, also there to add a little warmth and a little low end to it. So you have that. And this is not just a regular rosewood veneer. This is a solid 8 mm thick rosewood slab on top of the ash body. So it's not for aesthetics. It's it's for tone enhancement. And it's got a very unique pickup configuration. A humbucker over here. A humbucker looks like a humbucker, but it's actually not a humbucker. It's got some special stuff going on inside, and a single coil here. I always like a single coil sound on, especially on a 24 fret guitar, which this is. As you can notice, the single coil is placed extremely close to the 24th fret. So 24th fret is where you have the harmonic, and it's very close to the 24th fret harmonic, which means you get beautiful, a beautiful stratty tone, and basically a great sounding pickup and great sounding tones in that position when you have a single coil, which I feel is better, especially with the 24 fret guitar. And then you've got another thing is that where you would have the middle coil would be a little more over here. The middle coil is now actually housed in a humbucker housing, and it's moved a little more that side. What it does is, I've always felt that the middle lacked, the middle was a little too trebly and had a little less low end, and I always like the middle to have a little less treble and a little more low end, which this does with this position. Moving on to this pickup, which is a full-blown humbucker. Tried out many different pickups, wanted to make it something very versatile, and this is actually the second pickup that I ever wound in my life, and the bobbins were just lying there, and I wound 3 or 4 pickups to make it versatile, and finally I decided why not give that a shot, and voila, it worked. So this is again none of these 2 pickups are part of the catalog. These are custom made for this particular guitar, and so all the internals and all are matched to these tone woods and to this layout of the guitar. And if you also notice, this pickup is slightly angled to a few degrees off, and the reason for that is to reduce the treble, add a little more warmth in the coil strings, especially the A and the E strings, and add a little more snap to the treble strings. So in the demos you'll notice that. So there's more warmth and more snap with this angle, which was very important for me, especially if you want to cover a large tonal real estate. Glow in the dark inlays, both side dots as well as the main board dots. So in dark stages you just have to charge them with UV light or under sunlight, and then you transition from sunlight in the evening to a dark stage, and they illuminate, and you can have your way on your fingerboard. The guitar can be set up extremely low. Right now it's like less than a millimeter at the 12th fret on the first string. So you can imagine, sure, if you play hard it'll buzz a little bit, not picked up by the amp, but you still, even at less than a millimeter at the 12th fret, you still do not have any dead spots or fret outs. So the guitar has got a distinct tone to it. You can pretty much replicate any tone you want on the guitar, of all the famous records, but it also has its own personality. It's quite a bright guitar, and it's got a certain snap to it as well. It's got a metal knobs over here. These knobs have got markings, glow in the dark markings as well, so you can see them at night, your positions, and you will definitely need them because this guitar is extremely reactive to changes in volume and particularly the tone. It's got a 10-way switch, so for incredible versatility and amazing tones, taking full advantage of these amazing pickups over here. We'll get to the samples later. And the electronics are again all top shelf. The volume pot has been rated for over 10,000 turns. It's sealed, so you won't have any crackling or something happening anytime soon. It'll take many years before the pot would fail. So it's built to last. And the tone pot has got a push-pull function. the idea of the push-pull function is if that as it is in this configuration, this if the pot is not engaged, so if the push-pull switch is not engaged in the pot, it means it's in a bypass mode of tone, so the tone has been bypassed. The moment you pull the pot up, it means it engages the tone. What it means is you can have your tone set to a nice sweet spot, and you could you know, use your neck picker for example, which is extremely bright, and then pull the pot and make it warm. So you can have a favorite setting over there, have it off, have it on, and in the tone bypass mode, another good advantage is you don't have anything inhibiting the tone of the pickups as well. So pickups don't get dulled down, because even if the tone pot is completely disengaged, I mean if the tone pot is wired and if it's on 10, you still have a little bit of top end being filtered down to ground. So that won't happen with this. Also, the switch acts as a dual system. So what it means is the pulling the switch engages the tone, but it also reduces the power of the bridge pickup. So right now this is maximum power of bridge, which is nice and fat, and the moment you pull the switch, pull the pot up, now you got a lot of twang in it. Full humbucker, instant twang and vintage tone. Besides that, moving on to the bridge. So the bridge here is a very special bridge. This is a Goto 510, but it's not just any Goto 510. This has their recently patented saddle locking system in it. So what it is essentially your string goes through, and these fingers that you see here, they lock the string in place. So no matter how much you move your whammy, your tuning is extremely stable because the strings here don't move. So essentially it's like a Floyd Rose system, except the Floyd Rose would lock over here, but here you got a bone nut over there to get all the goodness of tone, and you got the locking system here. So just as a Floyd Rose, you got a dual locking system, except you got locking tuners here, and then you got locking saddles here, just like Floyd Rose. But you don't have to cut the ball end or anything. It's easy to change the strings and stuff. So what it basically does is it gives a lot of tuning stability. Also in the back, I've got magnet systems to remove the solid rosewood covers, and you can see here this system is called the Tremel No system. So what the Tremel No system basically does is it allows you to have a fully floating bridge. And you can lock the bridge completely to make it absolutely not move at all, and you can have any kind of string gauge that you want over the thick strings, the tuning, the change of tuning and stuff. And you can also operate it like a Stratocaster, wherein it only moves down, but you can't move it up. As it is now, it's in a floating mode. And in the floating mode with this bridge, you can do all kinds of crazy stuff. You can dive, you can take it sharp like Steve Vai, or you can do all those other silly tricks. I think they call it bird chirping. And it's still perfectly in tune. So, extremely stable and a beautiful tremolo system. And set it up the way you want. You don't want to use a tremolo, lock it up and experiment with all kinds of tunings. I mean, with the song that I did recently, the Periphery cover, I had locked the trem system, and I had extremely heavy gauges because the tuning was such. It was all D and then a C over here at the bottom. So it was a 10.5 to 56. The guitar can take that, and no need to adjust the truss rod or anything. It will absolutely stay stable. Besides that, it's got the world's best jack, output jack. It's got the key jack. It's also got the shallow system. So this is a shallow strap lock system. So it's got built-in strap locks. You don't have to worry about it. You can straight away take it on stage. And another thing is, unlike many other guitars that I've used, another thing that I wanted on this guitar was incredible accessibility. So this guitar would, you can go to, on the 24th fret with the pinky over here very easily. So. You can see how easy it is to get my pinky over there. So incredible upper fret access, it's unparalleled. And yeah, so the whole point of this guitar is it's built to last, built to be versatile, and built to give you inspiration to create great music and to play harder than you already are playing. I've got a sample over there where I have actually recorded the sound of the resonance from the body of the guitar. So it's all unplugged, no electronics. I've mic'd up, kept the mic close to the body, touching the body, and just plucked a string, and I've recorded it, and you can hear the resonance of the body in there. Incredible amount of resonance over there. So yeah, and the kind of wiring system it's got, I mean, this is really a one of a kind. The guitar is extremely versatile. It's you take it to a studio, you want to use it live, it'll do it all. And plus it's also got its own personality. So that's the whole point of the guitar. And did I miss anything? Yeah, so this is the first build. I put in a lot of heart and soul into it, and probably every build is going to be kind of a prototype in my case, because I'm going to make something unique. But with every build, but certain things and certain specs will never change. One last thing is the guitar is oil and wax finished. It's all hand rubbed. There is no poly coating on it or clear coat or anything. The whole point of that again is for the resonance. Basically, if you were to paint and put a poly or clear coat, what it is basically a shroud of plastic which is smothering the body and killing the resonance. I didn't want any of that, so this one does not have any of it. It's basically oil and wax, and it's cured with hand-rubbed oil and wax. So the maximum resonance of the instrument can go through and pass through your output jack and to your amp or to your processing systems. So yeah, so that's what this build is all about. And thanks for watching.